The chamber echoed with silence as the human seat remained empty. When their turn came to speak, no envoy appeared. No explanation followed. Just a quiet flicker. The Terran insignia dimmed on the central holoprojector, then vanished completely. Delegates from across the galaxy murmured, unsure if it was a signal malfunction. But the silence stretched. Within the hour, Earth's diplomatic channels went offline. Not jammed. Not blocked. Disconnected. Willfully. Cleanly. By morning, Earth's embassies on a dozen worlds had shut their gates. Automated systems, still polite, repeated a single phrase. Human representation is no longer active in the Galactic Council. No clarifications, no transition of power, no threat, only absence. The Council assumed posturing. They had seen humans argue before. They had seen them bluff, stall, delay, resist. But this wasn't any of those things. There was no anger, no ultimatums. Earth simply left. Some laughed. The Karathi Chancellor called it a dramatic tantrum from an adolescent species. The laughter didn't last. Within 3 days, Earth's trade networks halted entirely. Cargo haulers stopped responding. Joint missions returned to base without Terran personnel. Orbital stations powered down sectors tagged as non-aligned. Some colonies were evacuated overnight. No press, no protest, just quiet withdrawal. Humanity wasn't cutting ties. They were erasing them. All access to Terran AI systems collapsed. Civilizations that relied on shared human logistics watched navigation data vanish. Entire border sectors became no-fly zones without warning. Pirate activity tripled in those areas. Relief ships sent to investigate found nothing but empty anchor points, cold orbital shells, and the whisper of systems rebooting into secure mode, locked out to all non-Terran users. Inquiries flooded. Earth's last known outposts. No response. Independent diplomats tried reaching out through back channels. Silence. And yet behind that silence, something strange grew. Unease. It wasn't just the withdrawal. It was the way it happened. No chaos, no mistakes, no trail. The Council scrambled emergency committees to stabilize vital sectors, but no one filled the vacuum. Because everyone, even the most powerful, had leaned on Earth's silent systems, stabilizers, economic monitors, peacekeeping frameworks. The pieces were too tangled. One ambassador remarked, "We thought Earth was a piece on the board. They were the board." The Zelari Empire tried to exploit the moment, testing an old trade route guarded by Terran satellites. The satellites didn't fire. They simply vanished, self-destructed, and transmitted a single warning. This corridor is no longer protected. Enter at your own risk. The Zelari ships entered anyway. They were never heard from again. Panic didn't set in immediately. Just confusion, then friction, then cracks. Emergency meetings filled the void. The question on everyone's lips wasn't why did humans leave? It was how did they do it so cleanly? No one had seen it coming. No one knew what came next. But deep inside, they all understood one thing. Earth hadn't stormed out in protest. Earth had walked away with purpose. The fractures started within a week. The first to break were the supply chains, snapping like overstretched wire. Systems that had relied on Terran freighters, fast, reliable, self-sufficient, found themselves stranded. The Karathi food markets collapsed by day 8. Their dependency on Earth-grown synth grain had been underestimated. Prices tripled. Riots followed. No shipments came. Attempts to reroute through non-Terran trade lanes triggered border disputes. Old grudges flared up. The Trask coalition accused the Mydean of tariff manipulation. Skirmishes broke out in neutral space. Earth had been the unspoken referee, their silence once enough to settle disputes. Now that silence had weight and teeth. The Scythe Empire moved next, testing the Council's resolve. They deployed scout fleets into sectors long stabilized by joint human patrols. Expecting opposition, they found only silence. No patrols. No surveillance drones. The sector had gone dark. The Seath expanded quickly, only to discover buried Terran early warning systems still functional, watching but not intervening. When they reached the old demarcation line, they found it laced with inactive defense arrays, primed but dormant. The Scythe didn't cross. Refugee flows increased from the outer systems, where warlords began carving up forgotten routes. Without Terran enforcement, old criminal networks reawakened. Council forces, fragmented and bureaucratic, proved slow to respond. An alliance meant to be galactic in scale found itself paralyzed, missing the glue that had made it work. Terran Initiative. An independent faction attempted to replicate Earth's logistic grid using salvaged Terran tech. The systems ran for 43 hours, then locked up, overloaded by security protocols. One ship exploded mid-dock when it attempted to bypass Earth's biometric layers. Terran tech wasn't just advanced, it was spiteful when mishandled. Council. Debates devolved into shouting matches. Some blamed Earth's arrogance, others begged for a return. Delegates that once looked down on humanity now whispered of contacting them privately, hoping perhaps to earn individual favor. But the Terran channels remained dead. Even the black market suffered. Smugglers who had long depended on Terran backdoor maps found their caches gone, storage vaults erased. Some suspected Earth hadn't just left. They had taken everything they had touched with them. And where they couldn't take, they burned. One distant mining colony, operated jointly by 5 species but managed by human AI, reported a full shutdown. When engineers accessed the system, the only message it displayed was, "You were not ready." They still don't know what that meant. Whispers grew in council halls. What if Earth didn't leave because of us? What if they left because of something else? Something they saw coming? The idea spread quietly, infecting even the proudest civilizations. Earth hadn't been afraid. They hadn't argued. They had just prepared and walked away. The Council's desperation turned to obsession. A special task force was assembled to uncover the reason behind Earth's departure, composed of the best intelligence operatives from 8 species. Their first lead came from Veltrun Station, a tiny outpost that had once been a routine trade partner with Earth. They found only a single archived message, left behind by Terran envoys. "When the fire starts, don't breathe the smoke." No clarification, no context. Just a warning wrapped in metaphor. It only deepened the mystery. Backtracing Earth's final communications proved fruitless. Terran systems had wiped themselves clean, logs, telemetry, even idle network pings. Their embassies, now sealed and silent, showed signs of precision evacuation, not rushed, not panicked, planned. Everything had been scrubbed. Every local AI, once chatty and responsive, now responded with a single line. "This interface is deprecated." Council probes were sent to former Earth-aligned colonies. Some still operated, lights on, atmospheres stable, systems ticking. But not a single human remained. Automated caretakers tended to gardens. Lights followed motion, but no voices, no personnel, no living trace. It was as if Earth had walked out, locked the doors, and left the lights on just to prove they could. On the rim of explored space, long-range observation stations began picking up movement. A new fleet, vast and slow-moving, emerged on the edge of the Persian Gulf. Its configuration matched nothing in the Council database, yet its lines, its construction, it was unmistakably Terran. No known transponders, no response to hails. The ships didn't act aggressive, they didn't approach. They simply hovered, aligned toward deep space, engines humming with power levels far beyond anything Earth had displayed before. Their silence terrified everyone, more than weapons ever could. A listening post on Talos 3 intercepted a garbled transmission originating from unclaimed space. Reconstructed and amplified, it held a voice, human, calm. It said, "We were never supposed to stay. That was all." It looped once, then cut. Some species began panicking outright. Rumors exploded. Earth had discovered a coming cataclysm. Earth had evolved past the Council. Earth had been preparing for a separate war, one no one else saw coming. Every theory sounded like paranoia until the data started confirming them. Earth had been slowly withdrawing resources for years, replacing outposts with automated systems, consolidating fleets, refocusing production, and no one had noticed. One daring expedition attempted to follow the new Terran fleet, tracing its FTL trajectory. Their final transmission: they're not fleeing, they're forming something huge. Contact was lost 30 seconds later. In every corner of the galaxy, people began looking over their shoulders, not in fear of Earth's wrath, but in dread of what had made Earth walk away. They hadn't gone rogue, they hadn't gone mad, they had gone forward and left everyone else behind. The unraveling became unstoppable. Systems that once thrived under the Council's web began splintering into independent blocks, each scrambling to claim authority in Earth's absence. Old allies accused each other of collusion. Trade wars escalated. A border skirmish between the Vern and the Lascari turned into a full-scale territorial conflict within 2 cycles. Earth had kept them at peace, not through force, but by making war seem unnecessary. That illusion was gone. Pirate syndicates and criminal cartels moved swiftly into the vacuum, filling gaps where Terran oversight had once quietly operated. Some used captured Earth tech, believing it would give them dominance. But Terran systems weren't just protected. They were layered with safeguards no one could understand. One group hijacked a dormant cargo hauler and vanished en route to the nearest black market port. Recovery teams found only a spinning wreck and a single log. Tampering detected? Good night. The Council called emergency votes, but consensus was dead. Every species was now watching its neighbor with suspicion. Delegates shouted, fought, accused. One slammed his clawed hand on the table and screamed, "Earth was the only reason we tolerated each other." No one disagreed. A rogue faction attempted to declare itself the new peacekeeping force, using fragments of Terran tech cobbled together by mercenary engineers. Their fleet lasted 5 hours before imploding under its own AI corruption. The last recorded visual was a warship's lights blinking out as a message appeared on every screen: "You are not authorized." Propaganda began spreading across the galaxy. To some, humans were traitors. To others, gods who had transcended. Cults formed on fringe worlds, preaching the return of the silent architects. Others called Earth a myth, a legend invented to explain a golden age that never truly existed. The truth didn't matter anymore. Belief had filled the void. Then came the transmission. It arrived on the emergency frequency used only for existential threats, undeniably Terran, clear and deliberate. No encryption, no ambiguity. You never understood. We were never your enforcers. We were your training wheels. You insisted on steering without balance. We let go. Ride or fall. Good luck. The Council's central AI logged the message, tagged it as Class Alpha priority, and waited for a follow-up. None came. The fleets at the galaxy's edge continued assembling, never moving inward, never threatening, just present, watching, waiting. A few brave explorers tried to breach their perimeter. None returned. The humans weren't hiding. They were doing something else. Something no one could define. In the final meeting of the Council's High Chamber, with only 9 delegates remaining, the Gari ambassador muttered what everyone had come to fear. "We didn't lose Earth. Earth outgrew us." No one replied, because deep down they all knew the same thing. Earth was gone, and the galaxy had no idea how to function without it.